All right, what's up, everybody? I'm here to talk about Raw premiering on Netflix last night. I hadn't seen a live Monday Night Raw in I don't know how long. Coming back to the States back in 2020 during the pandemic, I made the decision to purchase streaming channels and not cable television. So I just wasn't able to watch Raw for the longest time. I was really looking forward to it last night. Here are my thoughts on it. Um, Long story short, it was good. It was good. It wasn't great. It had lots of people. I mean, everybody and their mother was there. There wasn't a lot of wrestling. There were only four matches in 3 hours, and I have varying opinions on all of those matches. But let's run it through. I mean, we start out. Shout out to my friend Eric from Hey Internet Eric here, because when I asked him a few weeks ago who I thought the first person in front of the cameras was going to be for Monday Night Raw, he said Triple H, and sure enough, it was Triple H. They start out with this like 6 minute long video montage of all the people that came before, and not the most action packed way to start. But then again, it wasn't exactly the most action packed Monday Night Raw we've ever seen. So Triple H comes out and does his thing, and then The Rock comes out, or more like Dwayne Johnson, comes out and takes up some time. And it was great to see The Rock. I'm glad to see that he's not, again, trying to insert himself in these sorts of main events. I think his time has kind of passed. It's good to see him. I don't mind seeing him wrestle once in a while, but I didn't like that whole WrestleMania angle with him in it last year, except when The Undertaker ended up chokeslamming him. So that worked out fine for me. So The Rock comes out and does his thing, and schmoozes with Cody Rhodes, who's in the audience. Yeah, not a problem. We get Roman Reigns versus Solo Sikoa. That's the first match. I like Roman Reigns. I respect him. He's done all of this, while he has or had leukemia. So, that certainly, I can't even imagine how difficult that must be. I know a lot of people criticize. I think he only had like 30 title defenses over like 3 or 4 years, 1,300 days or something like that. But, try doing any of that with leukemia and, looking the way he looks, staying in tip top shape. Not easy. Not the biggest fan of Solo Sikoa. I'm not really going to talk much about the match. Reigns wins and becomes the tribal chief. My question is, what happens now? What happens now with the whole bloodline? I don't know that I'm necessarily interested in like a bloodline. This is this era, this massive era of Samoans that are just, sort of all over with Jacob Fatu and Jey Uso, the Usos, and Solo Sikoa and Reigns and, Tama Tonga and all these guys. And once the bloodline sort of gets resolved, which this seems to have been the case, then what do you do with all these people? In terms of, keeping them together as a collective. I'm curious to see what they're going to do with that. I had an epiphany watching, who was it? Jey Uso versus Drew McIntyre. And I'm wondering if the bench is too deep for the WWE. What do you do with all these people? Because, you've got so many guys now, and to some extent the women also. And with a lot of the pay-per-views I've seen, the women's matches have been the most exciting. But you've got so many people now who should be champions. And so what do you do with these? I'm curious to see what they're going to do in this era, the Netflix era. Is it going to be a PG era? Is it going to be a little more raw and raucous, keeping the health standards, and the wellness policy in place? But is it going to be a little rougher around the edges? I'm curious. Roman becomes the tribal chief. Okay, yeah, sure, no problem. Like I said, no problem with Roman Reigns. Then we get into John Cena. John Cena comes out, and as we all know, this will be John Cena's final year of wrestling. I don't know how many times we've heard that before from other wrestlers, but that seems to be the case here. He's made a pretty successful transition into acting and voice acting. Um, so I don't think we're going to have anybody backing out. But it's good to see him. Looking forward to this final year. He looked pretty jacked. He looked pretty puffy. So I was saying that to Eric also. I hope he's super jacked when he comes out, and he looked that way. Um, the thing I didn't like about seeing John Cena was when he alluded to the fact that he's looking for one more title win, which would put him at 17-time world heavyweight champion, surpassing Flair's record. I hope that isn't the case. I would be very disappointed. No disrespect to John Cena. He's put decades of work into this thing that we're all watching now, and he's one of the reasons why we're watching now, and I'm talking about him now. So it's no disrespect to John Cena, but his contribution is not equal to Ric Flair's. And that could be a whole other conversation. And maybe let me know in the comments if you'd like to see me do a comparison sort of side by side. It's easy enough to prove that John Cena's contribution to the sport of professional wrestling is not the same, is not equal. It's not really even close to equal to the contribution made by Ric Flair, who's still out there and thinking about one last match. And I hope it's not going to happen. Ric Flair is my all-time favorite wrestler. He's not a perfect person, but he's my all-time favorite wrestler. So I hope that they do not, in this final year, decide to take him past the point that Flair can go. Because Flair will obviously, in his 70s now, will not be able to win another world heavyweight title. Unless they've just got something batshit crazy where they run Flair in some sort of match or something like that, and it happens. That would be great, and then Flair becomes the 18th time or 17th time or something like that. I don't know. But I hope that isn't the case. I hope he has a nice run. I hope he has some crazy matches. I'd love to see him do some crazy shit for the final year, but keep him away from number 17. That doesn't work. Then we get into Rhea versus Liv. Once again, this is another feud that's kind of played itself out. I'm glad it's over. I hope it's over. I thought Charlotte Flair was supposed to be there tonight. Maybe she was backstage, but I didn't see her. I think the highlight of the match was her teeing off on Dom Mysterio, who's just so damn slimy. And right now he's the best heel in all of professional wrestling. And he seems to just do it effortlessly. He's fantastic. I'm curious now, like with the Bloodline, what are they going to do with the Judgment Day? Liv is not holding a belt. Dom's not holding a belt. Finn Balor not holding a belt. What happens with these guys? Carlito not holding a belt. So what happens to the Judgment Day? Is there some sort of fractious thing, or do they get into it with another faction? I guess we'll see. Okay, so that works out. It was great to see The Undertaker. I was real happy about that. I'm a big Rhea fan, but I've also become, in this past year, a big Liv Morgan's fan. She's a great wrestler. Okay, then after that, you've got Jey Uso versus Drew McIntyre. These, again, are also wrestlers that have had a fantastic year in 2024. It wasn't a bad match. Travis Scott comes out. I could care less. I'm so sick of rappers and just rap and rapping that if it just fell off a cliff tomorrow, I'd be perfectly okay with it. What's their place in the organization? What is Jey Uso's place in the organization? What is Drew McIntyre's place in the organization? They are clearly people who should be like Intercontinental champions, United States champions. But again, the bench is so deep right now. They're sort of relegated to these secondary sorts of feuds. I don't think they know what to do with either of them right now. And I could be wrong, but it seems that there are just only so many slots on the bench. So I'm curious as to what 2025 is going to happen, is going to bring to these guys. Drew McIntyre would have been a great WWE champion or heavyweight champion. His money in the bank was sort of just wasted. yeah, it's been a mess. And I hope the good things happen for both of these guys. It was a good match. Um, but it seems like they need a more cemented direction. Okay. One of the funnier things, seeing the New Day, seeing people tee off on the New Day, that was funny. Hogan comes out. Always great to see Hogan. They're booing Hogan. Um, they should shut up. Hogan is the reason that everybody is sitting in those seats. Uh, yeah, I hate to say it. He hasn't always been my favorite wrestler. He's not really my favorite wrestler. But if you can't acknowledge that Hogan is the reason that you're there in the first place, then yeah, you're just an asshole. Um, yeah, he's talking about his new beer. You know, yeah, he's had his controversies, so on and so forth, but he's the reason you're in the seats. Sit down and shut up, and listen to what he's got to say for a couple of minutes. Um, yeah, but that's the thing about fandom nowadays. Everybody's an expert. Um, it doesn't matter if the guy's been there 40 years before you. The idiot on Twitter knows more. So that's just the world we live in nowadays, and hopefully those people will dry up and blow away. Then we get to Rollins versus Punk, which I'm just kind of meh about. I'm not a huge Seth Rollins fan. I am a CM Punk fan. I'm not interested in anybody that's feuding, at least right now, with Rollins. Um, I thought they gave Rollins something interesting to do last year during WrestleMania, fighting the Rock and Roman Reigns. As much as I wasn't really a fan of the Rock inserting himself, I thought that gave Rollins something interesting to do. I thought he was a little overmatched, to be perfectly honest. But he's another one. They don't seem to know what to do with them. And I think, again, it's a problem that the bench in the WWE is just too damn deep. And they've got so much talent right now, they almost need a third show and like a whole new other set of championship belts. So, yeah, Punk, what does he do next? Rollins, what does he do next? I don't know. What's it? There doesn't seem to be a clear path for any of these people. And I'm sure Triple H, as the head of creative, is keeping it that way. I don't know what The Rock's going to do. I don't know that seems to be the theme of my entire video. I don't know what anybody's going to do. What's going to happen with Solo Sikoa? What's going to happen with Roman Reigns? What's going to happen with Cena, Rhea, Liv, Uso, Drew, The New Day, Hogan? I'm sure Hogan will be back. It's Hogan. What's going to happen with Rollins and Punk? It seems like, in talking this out, Triple H has cleaned the slate for everybody. The slate is clean for everybody. And I'm going to be optimistic and trust Triple H to come up with something good for the remainder of 2025. I mean, we're 7 days in. It's a little early to start complaining. Not that some people won't, but I'm going to hope for good things and stay optimistic about it. And yeah, I mean, we could have by the time we get to this time next year, things could look completely different for these people. The people that are on top now, maybe swapping out, to somebody else. We'll see how it goes. It's professional wrestling. I've been watching it since the days of Bruno Sammartino and the WWF, and I ain't stopping anytime soon. Okay, that's my video. Like this video. Leave a comment. Subscribe to the channel. I will see you all in the next video. All right, take care, everyone. God bless you. Bye-bye. Hey, everybody. This is the American Werewolf. Thanks for stopping by. Like the video, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification button. Thank you.